Gary in Florida. Gary in Florida, you are on the line with Jimmy and John. What up, Gary?
Greetings, Jimmy and John. How are you?
Just fine. Have you ever met
all right?
You ever met a scientist named Todd?
Todd. Hold on. Give me a second. No.
All right. Well, so far the theory is holding up.
Well, I've been thinking and contemplating very deeply, Jimmy, about your program called The Line. The Line. And this is what I've come up with. You're asking most of your callers to cross the line of science and evidence, and then you will believe. Am I correct?
No.
What? Are you saying I'm wrong?
I am.
Oh, okay. That was a guess. That was just a shot in the dark. I'm just having a little fun.
I see.
But I want
if you want the brief correction, I can give it to you.
Oh, go ahead.
So I am open to a method of truth, a method which gets you to truth that is not science, skepticism, evidence-based, as long as one can demonstrate that is also a reliable method of getting to truth. So for example, say we were all shot into this world and we could actually show prayer works in some way, even without explaining the mechanism. We could use prayer to answer mathematical problems that otherwise we couldn't before answer, and actually pray for blessings and see statistically blessings are significant. There is a world in which I would be compelled by this thing I didn't understand because of a demonstration or perhaps some other way of showing that these are reliable methods to get to truth. Now, at the moment, I don't know of better methods. So you would first have to begin there, and then you would have all of your work ahead of you for the claim afterwards. I will say, though, the name of the program, The Line, is very simply because of the phrase, Gary, you're on the line with, you might say the phrase on the line when you are talking to somebody on the phone. That's literally where I came up with the name.
Yeah, I was just trying to be clever, and I didn't accomplish my mission. But
well, I liked it.
I heard you. That is kind of interesting. I find it a little puzzling because scientific evidence or scientific verifiable evidence or scientific verifiable demonstration, once you could do that to prayer, okay, well, prayer came up with this unified field theory. Prayer came up with curing a child with AIDS and came up with a solution there. But then wouldn't it fall under evidence and science once you could prove that?
Perhaps, I mean, if you're talking about statistical tracking, the answer, perhaps, but in fairness, I'm not the one who has set the standard that prayer is works and should be demonstrative. It is every religion which has that claim that theirs is the God that listens, and then has no shortage of stories from their pulpits of all the things they've seen prayer do. And yet when it comes to put up or shut up, Gary, I don't know how to meet you somewhere in the middle and go, oh, you're right. It would be kind of scientific to keep score to find out whether or not your team won or not. It's almost like you're calling and representing a baseball league and you'd like to get rid of scores completely and just see who defends with their words which teams won the most, even though there actually was some team that got the most home runs or whatever. I don't really watch sports, so this metaphor may have fell apart to me.
Yeah. No. I got you. I got it. And I agree with you. I agree. It would be kind of silly. Yeah, no. Well, okay. So I was just trying to understand what you meant by that with the prayer business, because I was kind of surprised to hear that. Now, I'm listed on your program as a theist, but I'm a rather strange one because I'm not a Christian, not a Jew, not an Islam, none of that stuff. I just believe that there's some kind of a transcendental truth or reality, and that's about it. That's about it. But okay. But basically, you're saying that you need scientific verifiable evidence and scientific verifiable demonstration in order to believe in a God. That's the basic bottom line. The buck stops there. Then I'll believe something, right?
I feel I've said I don't know of a better way, but I don't. That doesn't mean that there isn't something better that could be presented.
Wow.
Right, and Gary, the way that I see it is that science is a tool that we use to reveal the truth of reality. Like it's the best tool that we have that provides us with information or a view of reality that comports to how reality actually exists in the best way that we can, given the information that we have. So I mean that's why having empirical evidence to back up, like to justify your beliefs, I think is important, because that means that we have real tangible evidence that justifies why we believe in something. If something doesn't have this kind of empirical evidence to justify it existing or as comporting with reality, then I just don't see how it's beneficial to somebody to believe in something that you can't actually verify even exists in reality. Do you think that there's some kind of pragmatic reason to believe in something you can't actually prove exists in reality?
The pragmatic reason may be a little bit too idiosyncratic for the scientific means and process. In other words, let's say that psychologically, and that kind of pragmatism, there's an emotional, psychological pragmatism for the person to believe in some kind of transcendental truth or reality, because it grounds them, it focuses them, it centers them in a line of thought that gives focus to their lives, gives purpose
Right.
to their lives, gives meaning to their lives.
Hey, Gary,
Yeah.
can I ask, how do you know that transcendental truth is? But because I take it when you say transcendental, you mean some kind of absolute truth. Would that be an accurate way to interpret that?
Well, absolute insofar as it transcends it's something that is more solid.
Right.
Gosh,
It's unchanging, right? It's immutable.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I would use the word absolute for that. Immutable, just meaning unchanging. My question, and this is the problem that I have with anybody that claims to have the absolute or immutable truth, is how do you know that that is the absolute or immutable truth?
And I have no science and demonstration for that. I have none for that. Like I said, that's why I said it's idiosyncratic, based upon one's psychology and emotions that they adopt. They choose to have some kind of transcendental position for.
Right, right, but you keep using that word transcendental. I feel like if something is transcendental or absolute or immutable, then it's not going to be as personal as you're making it out to be. Because it kind of seems like you're saying, "Oh, these transcendental things are personal to the person, and just because they believe in something that they think transcends, then that means that it actually does transcend, or is actually absolute." Like, I guess I'll go back to to what I asked before. Do you think that it's really all that pragmatic to believe in things that don't comport with reality?
That's a good question. I have my listening ears on, and I'm trying to focus on that. John, I'm going to be honest. This is the only thing I know in my life is I've always had or adopted something immutable. I don't know exactly how to scientifically define that or demonstrate that. It's more psychological and emotional. So no, I'm agreeing. I'm straining here. I'm not answering your question. And I do apologize for that, but I recognize I'm not answering your question. I'm just trying to do the best I can here. I don't know anything else. I don't know what to tell you. I cannot prove it. I cannot demonstrate it. I don't know what to do.
So I guess what I'm trying to get at here, Gary, is that if you can't demonstrate or prove that whatever, but because you're being very vague about what this transcendental truth is, could you, maybe it would help me out if you could like make some kind of solid claim or solid statement that you think is transcendentally true.
Okay. All right. Sure. That's good. Solid. Thanks for your patience too. Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a 19th century transcendentalist philosopher. You may have heard of him. So basically, he posited that there is some kind of metaphysical basis. Meta meaning beyond physical. Okay. Metaphysical, philosophical basis for life. There is a, you know what?
Sorry, are you trying to say? Yeah, are you trying to say that there's some kind of like ultimate or transcendental meaning or reason for life to exist?
You know what? I think psychologically and emotionally, you're right. I think you got me there. I think, you got me. Yeah. Okay. You know
okay.
what?
I mean, is that, sorry, I wasn't trying to get a gotcha. I was just trying to make sure that I understood what you were trying to say. Like there's a transcendental or absolute or immutable meaning or purpose to life. Is that what you're like? There's some grander purpose.
Yeah, there's grander purpose. And yet I feel conflicted, John, because I don't believe that this universe has any moral purpose. That's why I'm hesitating here. I don't believe that there's any moral purpose to this universe. Nevertheless, I believe that there's a metaphysical purpose, but many people will jump the gun and say, oh, you think that's going to dictate how you should live and that there's morality and ethics. No, I don't believe
let's forget about those
that.
many people. Let's not forget about those many people. And I think I just want to start cutting to some meat here, or finding out whether or not if it's sort of an ill-defined, like I can't let it go, but it doesn't have much definition, but it's there and nothing's going to change it. Then, respectfully, we'd move on. Gary, what is it that you believe is the metaphysical purpose of the universe? Put most simply, please.
To realize the true nature of the universe and to realize the true nature of your life.
Okay, so you believe our individual purpose is tied up with a metaphysical purpose to realize our own purpose, is what you're sort of saying?
Yes. Okay. I believe ultimately, to answer your question, yes, to realize the true nature of your own life and the true nature of the universe.
Okay, great. I find that to be incredibly silly, since most human life that ever was, if you want to call any sort of conception the beginning of human life, we know the pro-lifers do. I believe it is statistically the case that most humans never even made it to birth, And then also mortality rates have been horrible over the last several centuries. And so it seems that actually a lot of human life and other lives have been to just suffer and then puff out of the universe, whatever. We could get into the depths of that. I think you've already admitted that is your belief, but you don't necessarily have a good reason or demonstrable belief for it. So I guess I have, is anything within your line of supernatural metaphysical beliefs, do you have a good reason that John or I or anybody else watching should believe it?
No.
Then I think respectfully, we should just leave it here and go, because as far as if you've, unless this is your first time watching the channel, I don't think we're going to introduce you to the idea of, if you don't have a good enough reason for somebody else to believe it, you probably don't have a good enough reason for you to believe it. And so it doesn't sound like whether or not John or I believe in it is going to condemn us to hell. It doesn't even sound like it's going to change yours or our interaction with whether or not we would take medication or vaccines, or does your metaphysical belief in any way affect your political leanings?
Hell no.
Then I don't think it's just that. Like, you seem great, and we could probably get high and have fun someday. But otherwise, the purpose of this show and calls, I just don't know where to go from here. Is that fair, Gary?
No. That's fair. I suppose I just okay. No, that is fair. But can I have a quick other question?
Go for it.
Okay. Atheism, the atheistic stance, what you just stated, very succinctly, solid, no problem. Do you think that as humanity advances and sheds the skin of religious doctrines, belief systems, formulas, and we move into a more secular, atheistic humanity, do you believe that this will necessarily lead to a better world?
In your current phrasing, no, because I think what you're describing as my atheist expanse was actually me touching more on skepticism and humanism. I said this recently on a show. I think in watching the way people, even in the quote unquote atheist community, have divided over the last 5 years, my suspicion is if we went radically to a more atheist world without making sure we were bringing humanism and skepticism along for the ride, and not in name only, but in fact, in practice, that we would probably have a world that would just trade in religious separation for something else. I think that you would see dramatic increases in types of tribalism, whether it's between different ethnicities, races, genders, or political ideologies as they are. So I don't think atheism by itself solves that problem, which is why I don't actually much care anymore, and haven't for some time. It is a higher priority of me. If we get the whole world to humanist, then will my sole interest be deconverting people from their religious-based humanism to secular humanism. However, as a secular humanist myself, it is the best way I know how to present, and the number one thing we are battling as humanists is religion. So the sort of side effect of that all is that I am going to be presenting a way of thinking that is based in atheism.
Yes. No, that's very well articulated. I always enjoy you explaining
based
things.
From atheism, and isn't correct. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that was my point. You got to my point, because I see conflict within the atheist group, within Republicans, Democrats, political, non-religious. I hear just this internal conflicts. The transgender community has conflicts within it. Everything is conflicted. Humanism, think about Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins was a member of the Humanism, and they kicked him out because of his views on trans.
there are other theists that I want to get to. So just to put a bow on what I think you're already saying, I also said recently, and somebody in comments tried to give me shit for it. I suspect if you got all of the atheists in a convention center for me, every single one of them, the number of them that I would think were adequately skeptical and demonstrably humanist would be less than 10%. I think that we here at this channel are good at collaborating with, and I think the person who was trying to take me to task for it in comments was trying to suggest that I was saying 90% of any group, as in even at the line, I am better than 90% of, but whatever. People are going to be bad at commenting no matter what you do. Yes, there is going to be, and by the way, I'm a humanist that will never meet the perfect level of humanism. As I've said before, I think in a humanistic world, even with bad people, if my dog and Ben Shapiro were both drowning in a pool and I only have time to save one of them, it is probably the correct, from the humanistic stance, to save the life of Ben Shapiro and to hope that ends in his rehabilitation and him being able to improve the lives of others despite all of that, and that we should even qualify human life in somewhat of a speciesist way as more precious than the animal that dogs, shorter lifespans, the number of people, potential to impact, and all that sort of stuff. That I would think that the humanist choice would be to save Ben Shapiro, and yet I also feel, as a humanist, I would fail in that moment to meet that standard of humanism. So, sorry, sorry, Ben.
Sorry, Ben. And I believe me, I feel your pain when you had to make that decision. I feel your pain.
Well, listen, I haven't had to.
I want to.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary. If you can wrap up, maybe 30 more seconds there.
Okay. I was thinking of. Okay, let me just. This was a good conversation because I appreciate you guys, what you do there with the line, and I'd like to just end with a joke. Can I end with a quick joke?
Very quickly, yes, please.
Okay. Why didn't the mummy have any friends?
Why not?
Well, he's just too wrapped up in himself.
Ah, lovely. Thank you, Gary. Forrest would have loved it. Thanks, Gary.
Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Eric, do you want to learn how to Mongolian throat sing? Check this out.
No, you try. No, keep that shit to yourself. Don't hear it.
Anyway, thanks for watching that clip. Patreon.com/calltheline is where you could support us. And maybe subscribe and like the video, because it was a killer video. Or maybe it wasn't. Was it a Forrest video? If this was a Forrest video, you don't have to click like. If it was an Eric video, go ahead and click dislike.